Hello, I had the pleasure of watching Marvel Studios' The Fantastic Four First Steps, and I gotta say, it sure was fantastic, but here's the thing. Tell why that's the most overused joke on the internet right now. Just stop talking. Shut up. Good morning, afternoon, or evening, my dear wonderful viewers. Intel here. I'm finally reviewing a movie again. I feel like I kind of fell out of that considering all of the Monopoly Go chaos and the Mario Kart World shenanigans. At this point, I don't even know what's being uploaded first. I have no plans. Guys, help. Marvel Studios' latest project has dropped in theaters, The Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm going to be brutally honest. My expectations were not very high for this movie. Not only did the cast seem a little questionable for me, especially Pedro Pascal as Reed Richards, but Marvel's reputation as of late has not been the greatest. Between 2021 and 2025, a lot of stuff Marvel churned out consisted of, how's the best way to put this? A lack of direction. There was a lot of screwing around with a ton of standalone stories that didn't really connect to the overarching narrative much, if at all. From mediocre movies to downright bad shows, Marvel has lost a lot of goodwill over the last few years, and as of 2025, people have started to become very fatigued. To summarize, over the last few years, the sentiment towards content from Marvel Studios, including movies, shows, special presentations, and more, has ranged from,
I mean, it's alright,
to,
it's the biggest piece of dog shit.
And then there was Secret Invasion. Unlike the Infinity Saga, there have been a lot of misfires. There were bright spots here and there for sure, like WandaVision, Loki, Spider-Man No Way Home, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, and Deadpool and Wolverine, but the consistent quality we had from Iron Man through Avengers Endgame just isn't there anymore. Marvel has stumbled a lot recently, and although it seems like they've started to find their footing, it's hard to say if it's too late. Makes sense that they're rebooting the MCU after Avengers Secret Wars. In terms of very recent projects, Captain America Brave New World, while not the worst movie ever, was very mediocre and unsurprisingly flopped at the box office, something absolutely no one was surprised about. Thunderbolts, while phenomenal, also flopped, which sadly wasn't too surprising considering most of the characters in it were from movies and TV shows that didn't perform well, on top of people not giving Marvel the benefit of the doubt anymore. Then came the Ironheart show, which, man, there was a lot of controversy surrounding that one. On the bright side, though, Mephisto! That brings us to The Fantastic Four First Steps. Considering the fact that the last Fantastic Four movie we got, Fan-4-Stick to be specific, there was a lot riding on this movie to be good. People were desperate for an actual decent Fantastic Four movie. The 2005 Fantastic Four is fairly decent from what I've heard, but I have yet to see that. I could do a review on that movie at some point if y'all really want to see that from me, but for right now, we're talking about modern day, baby. I really wanted First Steps to be good, and I still went into it with low expectations. I didn't want to hype myself up and then be disappointed. And I gotta say, I was pleasantly surprised. This movie is actually pretty dang decent, and I am very relieved. The box office performance has yet to be fully realized as of me writing this script, but I do hope this thing doesn't flop. I want people to go see this because it's a lot of fun. It's entertaining. At the end of the day, isn't that why we go to the movies? To escape and be entertained? Let's start with giving some spoiler-free thoughts, and then I'll do a very condensed story summary, just like I did with the Thunderbolts review. And to be honest, this movie is pretty straightforward to the point where you can easily explain the plot pretty quickly. It's not super complicated. And hey, sometimes simplicity is the best way to go about movies. Oh, and by the way, spoilers start here. Let's start with what really surprised me the most, the characters and their chemistry. I actually really like these characters, way more than I expected to. They seem fine enough in the trailers, but the movie really sold me on them. I like these Fantastic Four, and I'm legitimately excited to see them again in Avengers Doomsday. Everyone in the cast did a fairly good job, but I gotta say, Pedro Pascal actually knocked it out of the park as Reed Richards. As much flack as he gets for appearing in what feels like every movie, the man is a phenomenal actor, and his performance in this movie is no exception. I remember when they first announced the cast for this movie, a good amount of people were either very mixed or downright unhappy about this casting decision. Again, Pedro Pascal does appear in a lot of stuff, similar to how Tom Holland shows up in a lot of movies. His most notable role as of late that a lot of people praise is Joel from the TV show adaptation of The Last of Us. Season 1 was pretty well received, but Season 2 was not. Literally everyone hates Season 2, which is not a surprise since the game wasn't received well either. Anyway, I'm getting off topic. Vanessa Kirby is another standout in this movie. She is a fantastic, I'm gonna be saying that word a lot in this review, and a lot of the time I'm not intending for it to be a pun, Sue Storm. She holds the team together really well, and her acting is stellar, especially during the climax of the movie. I haven't seen her in much of anything else besides this movie, so it was a great first impression of her acting, and I was very pleased. Also, her chemistry with Pedro Pascal is so convincing that there are a lot of people getting mad at Pascal for being so affectionate with her. That's how you know the chemistry is there. Joseph Quinn is actually a really good Johnny Storm. He ended up being one of my favorite characters. He's given a lot to do in the story, which I appreciated, and his fire powers are shown off in really cool ways, and not to mention the CGI on him is great as well. I expected to kind of just not care too much about him going into the movie, but after leaving the theater, I definitely was caring about him. He's funny, charismatic, and has a thing for sexy aliens, considering what happens in this movie. I can't wait to see more of him in Doomsday. Ebon Moss-Bachrach, like the other members of the team, seriously nails it as the Thing. His powers are shown in fun ways, the CGI is again good on him, and the sound design on him is also really nice. You can hear the sound of rocks clacking together when he walks, or claps his hands, or does whatever. He doesn't have quite as much to do as the other characters, but he does play a good role later in the movie in the spaceship sequence, and his part in the fight against Galactus is very cool. Same with the rest of the characters. I want to see more of him in Doomsday. Aside from the main protagonists, the other two standouts are Julia Garner as Shala Bal, aka the Silver Surfer, and Ralph Ineson, I think that's how it's pronounced, as Galactus. I'll admit, I was a little unsure of Garner as the Silver Surfer, but again, I was pleasantly surprised. Garner gives a great performance and convinces the viewer that she's not doing what she's doing by choice. Doing this pains her, and she feels a tremendous amount of guilt. Guilt over what exactly? That's for the spoiler section. We'll get to that. I had very high hopes for Galactus, and thankfully, my hopes were not dashed. Galactus is one of the most famous Marvel villains of all time for a reason. He's how do I put this? A gigantic, hungry space demon god that's been around for billions upon billions of years, and he's lived through multiple universes. He's referred to as the Devourer of Worlds, and he literally does just that. He eats planets to keep his insatiable hunger at bay. And no, he doesn't just grab a planet and eat it like an apple. He uses his ship to destroy the planet and break it down into a liquid form that he then consumes. And he's massive. He's not quite as big in this movie as he's portrayed in the comics, but he's still huge. Godzilla size, if you will. And as I said, he's played by Ralph Ineson. He's great. That's it. It's peak. Galactus needed a deep, intimidating voice, and Ineson delivers that. The Galactus parts are definitely some of the best parts of the movie. Let's do a quick spoiler-free summary of the story before we get into spoiler territory. The movie, of course, follows the Fantastic Four in an alternate universe. This is not the same universe as the MCU. That universe is 616, while the Earth in this movie is Universe 828, a retro-futuristic universe that is currently in the 1960s. From what I've read, the reason why this universe is so technologically advanced despite the time period is because this universe never experienced the Dark Ages. That's a really interesting detail that I like a lot. The Fantastic Four are celebrities, and thankfully the movie gets on with it and gives us a quick montage showing the team using their powers while recapping their origin in a well-paced fashion. Marvel knows that we know these characters and knew that we didn't need to spend half an hour explaining the origin story for all of them. They went to space, got exposed to cosmic energy, and came back with superpowers. Reed can stretch his arms and legs and basically be the rubber band man. Sue can turn invisible and create powerful force fields, Johnny can generate flames and fly, and the Thing has superhuman strength and endurance along with enhanced durability due to his rocky skin. And they've been protecting Earth for the last few years with their powers. Everyone loves them and cherishes them for their protection until the big boy Galactus shows up and asks the team a price that is too high for them to pay in exchange for him not eating Earth. From there, they have to find a way to defeat Galactus or at least stop him before he eats Earth. And that's basically the plot. Again, it's very straightforward, but in this case, that's a good thing. I really don't mind it. It's a fun story, and while it's overall inconsequential to the MCU as of right now, we know the Fantastic Four are going to come into play in Avengers Doomsday. All four of them have already been revealed to be in the Doomsday cast, so we'll have to see what happens with them in that movie. I am actually pretty excited to see. From here, I'll do a spoiler summary of the film and keep it combined to the story highlights, since a while back y'all told me it would be better for me to go over the story in highlight form instead of breaking down the whole movie. So that's what I'm gonna do. This is your last spoiler warning. I'm going to spoil literally everything now. Okay? You've seen the movie? Okay, let's go! We open with a wholesome scene of Sue Storm telling Reed Richards that she's pregnant, and they've apparently been trying to get pregnant for the last couple years. There is finally a baby on the way, and we all know that's going to be Franklin Richards, one of the most powerful beings in Marvel Comics. I'm interested to see what they do with him in the movies, because this kid's power set is actually insane. In the comics, he can literally create universes and warp reality. I know that sounds very broken. because it is. The Fantastic Four spend a while getting prepared for the baby, but things are interrupted when the Silver Surfer arrives to Earth, and this version is Shala Bal, the female Silver Surfer that's the lover of Norrin Radd, the male Silver Surfer from the comics. She's here to warn the Fantastic Four, along with the rest of Earth, that the planet has been marked for death and that Galactus is on his way to eat everything. She's very blunt about this too. She tells everyone to celebrate and make use of the short time they have left. They're all gonna die.
That escalated quickly.
Johnny chases after the Silver Surfer, but is unable to catch her. He falls back to Earth, but not before the Silver Surfer tells him something in her language that he can't decipher. Yet. The Fantastic Four realize they've got to go find this Galactus fellow and either stop him or negotiate a deal so he won't eat the planet. They return to space in their ship, the Excelsior, while promising the world they will protect everyone and not let Galactus eat them. They go to space and eventually find Galactus' ship, which is in the process of destroying a planet. Whoa! Yes, we actually get a full-on showcase of what happens to a planet when Galactus' ship goes in there to break it down so he can consume it. It's terrifying stuff, and you realize that this is going to happen to Earth if the Fantastic Four don't put a stop to this. The Silver Surfer confronts the team and takes them to Galactus, where we finally get to see him in all his glory. Again, this is a big boy. Not as big as he is in the comics, but still gigantic. We come to find out Galactus wants Earth because of Franklin Richards. According to Galactus, Franklin has what's known as the power cosmic, the same power Galactus possesses. If the Four give Franklin up to the big man, he will take the place of Galactus and finally free him from the endless, insatiable hunger that Galactus has been cursed with for God knows how many years. Obviously, the Fantastic Four aren't giving Franklin up, and in response, Galactus uses the power cosmic to force Sue into labor. That is crazy. The Fantastic Four have to escape back to their ship to get back to Earth, and then they have to escape the Silver Surfer, who is after Franklin. We then get a tense sequence of the team trying to escape the Silver Surfer while Sue is giving birth to Franklin in the spaceship in zero gravity. This is such a crazy scene, and then it turns emotional when Franklin is born. For one, Franklin is freaking adorable. Oh my god, this is the cutest baby ever! Ah! On top of this baby's insane cuteness, the acting from everyone in this scene is off the charts, especially from Pedro Pascal and Vanessa Kirby. This scene right here is what made me sit back and be like, you know what? Pedro Pascal is actually a pretty good Reed Richards. He's alright. I'm cool with this. The team returns to Earth after escaping the Silver Surfer, and everyone is waiting with bated breath to hear how the Fantastic Four stopped Galactus. But the thing is, they didn't stop him. They have to admit to the world that this is a threat beyond their comprehension, and after trying to strike a deal, Galactus asked for their son, a price too high to pay. The world quickly realizes that the Fantastic Four, essentially, are dooming the entire planet to be devoured by Galactus because they won't give up their child. And this makes everyone very, very angry. Like, they turn against the team fast. This really had me thinking. It's a really difficult situation. Would you sacrifice your newborn child to save your entire planet? Or would you refuse to give your child up? It's a valid question, and it makes you question your morals. You don't want to sacrifice your own child, but if you don't, literally everyone is going to die. Man, that is brutal. The Fantastic Four try to come up with a plan to stop Galactus and solve this situation without having to give up their son, and it leads to some more great acting between Kirby and Pascal. There's a moment where Reed very subtly floats the idea of actually giving Franklin up to Galactus, and this obviously makes Sue very, very upset. Amazing acting from Kirby, and this is another scene that made me like Pedro Pascal's portrayal of Reed Richards a lot. This version of Reed is quiet, soft-spoken, and carries the weight of the entire world on his shoulders, and now he's having to grapple with the fact that he might lose his entire world if he doesn't give up his son, and he knocks it out of the park with the acting. Unfortunately, there's an angry mob outside the Baxter building trying to break in and take Franklin to offer up themselves, but Sue walks out holding Franklin and gives a moving speech, saying that while she isn't going to give up her child to save the Earth, she's not giving up the Earth to save her child either. She rallies the crowd and gets them motivated to find an alternate way to stop Galactus. This is in the form of Reed's teleporter, which until now he's been using to teleport eggs back and forth. The plan they come up with is, I kid you not, building giant versions of his teleporter all across the world so it will teleport the Earth into another solar system, far away from Galactus, so far away that it would take him millions of years to find the Earth again. Yeah, they're gonna move the Earth to another area of space.
Interesting tactic.
Yeah, this is a little crazy. Up until now, I was following along, but this is where I started scratching my head. Thankfully, this isn't what actually happens. They do build the giant teleporters all across the Earth, but right as they're starting everything up to teleport the Earth away, the Silver Surfer shows up and starts destroying the teleporters. Welp, there goes that plan. She's here for Franklin, and now the team has to come up with a plan B. That plan B involves Johnny, since he was actually able to decipher the messages they've been receiving from space earlier in the movie. They were from Shalabal's planet, and he uses these messages to confront her and figure out her origin and what happened to her that made her become, well, this. In short, Galactus came to Shalabal's planet, and in exchange for not devouring it, Shalabal agrees to become his herald and work for him, leading him to planets that he could consume. Johnny rekindling these memories makes her feel massive guilt, and this is a good showcase of Shalabal not wanting to do what she's doing. She hasn't had a choice. She's only doing this because Galactus would have eaten her planet otherwise. It's a sad situation, and this starts her redemption arc. Meanwhile, the Fantastic Four come up with a new plan, which is essentially to use their son as bait by putting him in the middle of a still-working teleporter. When Galactus walks onto the teleporter to grab Franklin, Reed will activate the teleporter and send Galactus far away to another area of space. Galactus arrives to Earth, and his sheer size is shown off in a fantastic way. Get it? Sorry. Since he's so big, the rest of the city had to be evacuated underground with the help of Mole Man. Galactus starts stomping through the city to get to Franklin, and he almost falls for the team's trap, that being they distracted him and switched out Franklin for an empty baby carrier. Galactus does not fall for it, however, and he turns his attention to the Baxter building, where the real Franklin is. He grabs Franklin from the building, meanwhile everyone is doing their best to stop him. Galactus is almost able to snap Reed in half, even with his stretchy powers. It's brutal. Just when all hope seems to be lost, Sue brings out her Mama Bear powers and knocks Galactus back with her Force Field powers. She's eventually able to push him onto the teleporter, which Reed is able to turn on. And that looks to be it. But no, it's not over! Galactus isn't getting banished that easily. He starts clawing his way out of the portal until the Silver Surfer shows up and smacks him back into the portal. And then it closes. The Silver Surfer and Galactus are gone. The Earth is safe. For now. Unfortunately, the Super Mega Ultra Force Field powers were too much for Sue to handle, and she dies. Now, of course, we know she isn't dead, mostly because she's in Doomsday, but there's also her son Franklin. This baby is more powerful than you can believe. He uses the power cosmic to bring his mother back to life, so we get a bit of a Tony Stark in Avengers 1 moment here. Except it's a baby crying and not Hulk roaring. Same difference. So, happy ending! Galactus is gone, the Fantastic Four are all alive, and now it's time to keep protecting Earth while raising Franklin. Well, they're the Fantastic Five now, but that doesn't roll off the tongue as well. And that's the end of the movie. A very normal ending, to say the least. Apparently, the ending was changed a lot, according to reports, with rumors that the movie would end with the Fantastic Four escaping their universe and coming into the MCU. It was logical for people to think that, considering the post-credit scene of Thunderbolts teasing the Fantastic Four ship coming to Earth. My guess is that this happens in Doomsday. We'll have to see. But yeah, normal, happy ending, or so it seems. We get a massive mid-credit scene that takes place 4 years later, where Sue is reading some children's books to a now 4-year-old Franklin. Good lord, this kid is so stinking cute. I swear it's making me have baby fever. I mean, what? Sue leaves the room to go get another book to read to Franklin, and when she returns, Dr. Doom is there, sitting in front of Franklin. We don't see his face, but the green cloak is clearly visible, and you can see him holding the iconic silver mask. Oh my goodness. We finally get a tease of Dr. Doom. And honestly, I'm glad they didn't show his face. This is supposed to be Robert Downey Jr.'s Dr. Doom, but if they had shown his face, that would have taken away from the movie, and all anyone would have talked about was the fact there's an RDJ cameo in the mid-credit scene. So, good move on them giving us a nice tease, but also not revealing too much. The post-credit scene is a fun little cartoon homage to the Fantastic Four, and then you see Herbie turn off the TV it's playing on. Not sure if this is a tease to anything, but if not, it's just a fun little reference. And that's the movie. Again, I was pleasantly surprised by it. As I said, I've been going into Marvel movies as of late with pretty low expectations. You can't blame me for that, all things considered. It does look like Marvel is finally starting to turn things around, and with Spider-Man Brand New Day coming next year, the new set photos and suit reveal are amazing, by the way. Along with Avengers Doomsday, the future of the MCU is looking pretty good. I'm cautiously optimistic now, but we'll see what happens. I really liked the retro aesthetic of this movie. It makes this film stand out more than any other Marvel projects, and it's very pleasing to just look at. It fits with the retro-futuristic look of everything as well. As I said at the beginning, the acting is stellar. The chemistry between the main characters is great, and the story is solid, even with a weaker third act. I do want to go over what bothered me a little bit in this movie, because yeah, there are a few things that distracted me. For one, there's not a whole lot of character development. No one really has any arcs to speak of besides Silver Surfer, kind of, but it's not until the very end. I get that Marvel wanted to skip over the origin story with these characters and tell a story where they've already been established in this universe, and that's fine, but I would have liked to see a little character development. It doesn't ruin the movie, but it's something I happen to notice. Another thing is how the third act is a bit anticlimactic. Everything ends happily. Galactus also doesn't really do a whole lot. He just stomps around and damages some buildings, but that's about it. Call me morbid, but part of me was hoping that he would actually destroy the Earth and that would lead to the Fantastic Four fleeing their universe and coming to the MCU. I guess Marvel thought that would have been a little too dark, so we got the sunshine and rainbows ending. That's fine, but it just ended up being a very sore lack of stakes, similar to the ending of Thunderbolts. I wish they had upped the stakes a little bit. Not sure what they could have done, but I don't know. I don't write movies, I just review them. With all of that being said, I'm going to give the Fantastic Four First Steps an 8 out of 10. This is another solid movie and a great addition to the MCU as a more standalone story. It being more standalone is what makes it better to me. It's not confined to the greater MCU and doesn't have to deal with the convoluted mess of projects we've gotten recently, but while it isn't confined to the MCU, it still connects in a cool way and sets up future stories. Plus, we'll see these characters again interacting with our main MCU characters. That'll be really cool to see. I'm very excited to see that. And that'll do it for this review. What did you guys think of Fantastic Four First Steps? Did you like it as much as I did? Did you not enjoy the movie? What do you agree with in this review or not agree with? I encourage you to let me know your thoughts in the comments. As I always say, opinions are subjective and valid. I'm not telling anyone to agree with me, I'm just giving everyone my thoughts. If you like this video, be sure to drop me a like and subscribe today to become an intellectual and join the conversations over here. I'll be very glad to have you on board. Just wanted to mention, memberships are now open on the channel, and if you click on the link in the description, you can join the channel as a member and get access to special exclusive perks like early access to videos, member shoutouts, special emojis to use in comments on videos and my live stream chats, members-only live streams, and special access to certain features on my Discord server. Oh, yeah, by the way, I have a Discord server now. You can join it by clicking the link in the description as well. I hope to see you all over there. I'm pretty active, so that's the place to go so you can hang out with me and chat. I'm gonna stop talking now. Have a good morning, afternoon, or evening, everyone. Peace! I love you all! Now, of course, we know she isn't dead, mostly because she's in Doomsday, but there's also...